Zig Ziglar said to me one time, Priscilla, an audience is going to remember about 10% of what you said, 10%. So you are going to want to grab their attention as quickly as you can, and then basically narrow down the 100% to the same 10% that you're saying in different ways over and over again for the 30 minutes that you have their attention.
Priscilla Shirer, it's great to have you on the Craig Groeschel Leadership Podcast.
Glad to be here. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's great to have you. Amy and I love you and your family.
I love y'all too.
And you've been special friends for a long time.
Yeah. It's been cool to see each other through the years, different seasons of life.
We're kind of growing up, right?
Growing up a little bit.
That's a nice way to think we're getting older together. So that's happening.
That's right.
So I want to talk leadership. And I am curious, one of the questions I always like to ask our guests is, when do you think you saw, maybe as a kid, high school, some point, when did you first see yourself maybe that you had leadership gifts?
I think the first time it maybe occurred to me a little bit in hindsight when I think about it is my aunt, my mother's sister, was over the children's ministry at the church. And I remember I don't remember what the lesson was about, but she said, Priscilla, come up here and give an illustration to the kids. And I must have been 10. And I remember standing up there, not sure what I was going to do, but I did something that had to do with a water balloon. We had a balloon there, I put water in it, and I did a thing. And I just remember that they were paying attention. And I remember thinking in that moment that this is a moment of time I've been entrusted with. Entrusted was the thought that I had, that I have to take care of this time, that I could squander it and just say something silly, or I can actually try to use this illustration moment and this opportunity that my aunt's given me to actually do something that hopefully will matter when they go home. And these are, 5 and 6-year-olds. So I was trying to entertain them enough to keep them engaged, but also give them something meaty, like that had a little substance to it. So in my 10-year-old way, I did that. But it occurred to me I had their attention, and there were probably 24 5 and 6-year-olds in this room, and they were paying attention to me. So the weightiness of having people that are following your leadership and that you've been entrusted with that, it did occur to me, not in those words, but it occurred to me at 10 years old that I had the capacity to take someone's time, take somebody's attention, and either squander it or utilize it for something valuable.
That's really powerful to think about, being 10 years of age. And then, first of all, recognizing maybe that you have a gift to communicate and that people do pay attention to you and that you have influence. And so one of the things, Priscilla, I always try to tell people, they may say, well, I'm not a leader because I don't have a title or I don't have a leadership role. And I always say, you have influence, right?
You have influence.
You have influence.
All of us do.
Leadership is influence. And so you recognize that, and at the same time, you realize there was a responsibility to it. There's a weight to it.
Yes.
And a lot of people today, I think, want to be a leader, want to be an influencer without understanding the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the weight side?
Yes. And I want to answer that question, but I want to back up too and say there's something I recognize in hindsight that was very key and pivotal about someone else recognizing in me what I would not have noted in myself.
Tell me about it.
It's almost like to put a biblical illustration to it, every Joshua needs a Moses to say, oh, you're the one that can lead. And we don't have any record in the scripture of Joshua being prepared for it or strategizing for it or thinking he was the one that would lead. But there was a Moses who saw it in him. So in hindsight, I kind of see like, oh, if my aunt wouldn't have given me the opportunity and said, you can handle this, I probably wouldn't have recognized it in myself at all.
She saw something in you.
Yeah. And I
even
think
at 10 years of age, you're ready for it. Yeah.
And so then partnering ourselves with people who have that kind of spiritual insight, maybe, or in leadership, that business acumen to see leadership potential around them and they're willing to develop it and not be intimidated by it.
So everyone needs someone like your aunt who does take a risk in you. And a lot of times we're waiting on that. Would someone believe in me? Would someone affirm me?
Yeah.
And at the same time, we need to be that for someone else.
Totally.
That we need to see in others maybe what they don't see in themselves, and put them in a place where maybe they don't feel fully prepared. And then they can have that kind of
life. Yes.
Right, and that's a great place to be.
Yeah,
always slightly out of your comfort zone.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
How do you earn the trust of people that may not want to be led?
That is a very good question. gosh, I feel like I'm going to be redundant in saying it, but I feel like if they're not seeing you actually live out what it is that you're saying to them or trying to communicate to them, if they're seeing such drastic disparities, not that you're not vulnerable and authentic and saying I'm sorry when you make the mistake. It's not that. It's them seeing you be fully human, but also at the same time, they see you having a standard that matches up with what you've been saying. I think that's how you earn people's trust. And that it doesn't just happen over the course of a year, but over the course of different seasons of life, as you go through the ups and downs, you have a certain level of sameness, consistency. That's how you earn people's trust, because you can talk till you're blue in the face, but what you're actually doing is what will make people decide whether or not they're going to believe you.
Yeah, that's so true. There's a study, and I wish I could cite the source. It's one of the famous researchers, and we'll link to it in the show notes because I'd like to give them credit. But they looked at different traits of inspirational leaders. And most people think, they would say, like they would see you, if someone's never heard you speak, you're one of the most inspirational, charismatic leaders anywhere. And so they think, well, we got to be like Priscilla. And then they think, well, I'm not like Priscilla. And what the study showed, there's actually 33 different traits of inspirational leaders. And one of the traits was consistency. Another one of them is empathy, like this listening to people. Another one of them is just being kind of other-centered and empowering people. One of them is coming in and serving or sacrificing. So they go through this whole list of 33 different traits. The most important and standout trait above all of them is what they call centeredness. That you don't have to be a great speaker, you don't have to be organized, you don't have to, but if you're centered, and I think that's another way of saying if you have integrity, that is the most inspirational trait of leaders, is to be centered. Can you talk to maybe some newer leaders right now? And it's easy to want to kind of fast track leadership, and we want to rise to the top, and genuinely with good hearts. Talk to me about what do we do early to put our roots in deep so that we are centered in people of true integrity.
Yeah, I think I would definitely say to value the process, that the process is necessary. Not only does it matter, it's actually necessary, because the character you're going to need to sustain you where you're going, you have not developed the backbone of that character unless you've gone through the process required. One step leads to the next step. It's necessary to get you to the next step. And we do have, in our fast-paced, instant gratification culture, we do have a lot of that desire to just skip over the process and get right to the benefit. And then you see a lot of people imploding because they have not gotten the structure that the process would have built in them. So just to honor the process, that where you are right now actually matters, and to maximize where you are right now. The regret that many of us have, and for different reasons, but looking back on a season of our life where we wish we would have milked that a little bit more. Instead of trying to hurry through it, there were relationships we should have paid attention to back then. There was investment we should have made in ourselves back then or in others. There were bridges we should have been building. There were skills we should have been learning. There's a whole bunch of things, but because we're trying to get to the next thing, we miss out on the beauty of and the value of the thing we're in. And then you get out of the season and you look back and realize, golly, there was a whole bunch for me to glean back there that now is a requirement here. And I don't have it because I raced through it. So I think just pausing as a young leader, pausing and saying, okay, God has entrusted me with where I am right now. The people, the circumstances, the cubicle I sit in, the one-bedroom apartment that I have, the beginnings of this entrepreneurial endeavor that I'm investing in. Okay, here's what he's given me, the money that I have, the ideas, whatever. What am I going to do to milk this season for everything that it has? What strategic implementation am I going to make sure that I am walking in right now? What mentors can I put in place that will speak some sense into me to help me to see things I cannot see that are valuable here, so that when I get out of the season, because the season is going to change probably sooner than you think, when I get out of it, I won't look back with regret that I missed stuff, but I'll look back and say, no, I got everything I was supposed to get there. And then I'll have some substance to carry me through the next season.
Can you take me back to early in your leadership process? And what was something that was painful that you experienced that actually turned out to be really helpful to you as a leader?
Well, went into college thinking I was going to be a news anchor. That was the goal. I wanted to go into broadcast journalism and was willing to pay my dues to do it. Like I'd go to Podunk, Nevada and start out, in broadcasting. That's what you do. So I went to school and was planning on doing that. After I graduated from school, I had a couple of jobs, little independent contractor jobs that I was given at a couple shows. And as soon as they hired me, the shows would be canceled. They wouldn't want me to do it anymore. It was just disappointing. I'm in my early 20s. I'm devastated. My self-esteem is shot. Any opportunity that I seemed to get went away quickly. So, when you're just starting out and nothing's working out, it really does feel like a huge life crisis. Fast forward, 7 or 8 years, the Lord's sort of changing my course a little bit. And I don't know this until hindsight, but he's shutting doors and opening others intentionally. So I get to this place where I'm recording the very first Bible study series now of 14 of them that I've done. The very first time I stood in front of a 3-camera shoot with an audience in front of me to film this Bible study. The producer of the shoot came up to me, I think I was 28. He came up to me and he began to give me tips and advice for relating to these cameras, tally lights, and making sure you're still relating to this audience. As he's talking to me, I'm thinking, everything you're saying, I already know. And it's one of the handful of times in my life that the Lord has spoken so clearly to me, it was almost like he was in the next seat. And he said, all of those years were about today. That was not a waste. It mattered for right now. And so now I've spent the past 25 years basically in front of cameras doing what those formative, disappointing, hard years were actually teaching me and preparing me for.
So I don't want to talk about me because this.
Please talk about you.
But when you say that, I immediately think back, and this is almost embarrassing to say, but as a young kid, I did magic shows. So I was a little magician.
I can so see that.
The fact that you can see it is kind of embarrassing, right? But I was 13, 14 years old and doing professional magic shows.
That's great.
And then I started my own tennis camp and I learned how to manage employees and had a little business going. Then I got into rental homes. And I got into sales before I could be in ministry. And I look back and I didn't really love any of those seasons. And then I say, I learned how to be in front of people. And I learned how to lead people, and I learned how to actually pitch an idea. And then I became radically changed, and now I can take some of those things and they all work together for what I do today.
Yeah.
And so I can just imagine people right now, someone going, I don't really like where I am. And they may be where they are now because there's something you need to learn in this season.
That's exactly right.
That's going to be valuable.
And I'm telling that to my 3 boys now. I've got 21-year-old, 19, and 15. And even as they struggle through the transitions that happen in those seasons of life, I'm telling them that this is it. Like, this matters right here.
It does.
Whatever God's getting ready to do with you at 25 and at 30 and 32, it's connected to this. So milk it. Like, who are the coaches that are coaching your team? They're your people. The Lord's connecting you with them and some teammates or professors or encounters you'll have or things you'll learn or little sayings that will mark your heart. Write those things down. All of those things are part of the process that the Lord is strategically allowing you to encounter so that you can be prepared for what he created you for.
It's so good. So just for fun, I want to hear maybe some of the advice that guy gave you about presenting. You don't have to be a charismatic speaker to lead people. You do not have to at all.
No.
But you're going to lead meetings, or you're going to pitch ideas. You're going to come in and say, hey, we could do this together, and you're going to cast a vision for something. So becoming the best you can be with your gifts to inspire people or to communicate an idea or to sell an idea or to even listen and have empathy. Can you tell me what you learned from him or on your own? If we're in front of a group of people and want to connect with them when we're talking, what are some of the things that stand out for good communication?
Great question. The top thing that comes to my mind is illustration. People remember stories. I remember Zig Ziglar, who really was like a grandfather to me. I look back on that now and realize the value of that he paid attention to me and cared deeply about my life in personal ways. Like even when I was meeting my husband, he was looking up and down at Jerry like, come over here, let me talk to you real quick. And Zig Ziglar said to me one time, Priscilla, an audience is going to remember about 10% of what you said. 10%. So you are going to want to grab their attention as quickly as you can and then basically narrow down the 100% to the same 10% that you're saying in different ways over and over again for the 30 minutes that you have their attention. Because they're only going to remember 10%, and story is part of how they will remember it. So incubate the point that you want to make in a beautiful story or illustration or some sort of picture that you can create in their mind, and it becomes an incubator for the principle. Then they'll take the principle home because it's wrapped in a story that was personal to you, or that grabs them at some intersection in their life where everybody can sort of relate to that. So the power of illustration. I would also say, and by the way, there's one other thing I want to say, but I will say, take seriously, I keep a ongoing list of potential illustrations. I don't know where they're going. I don't know if I'm going to use it in a book or if I'm going to use it.
You said that to me right before we came here because we were talking about the fact that I'm colorblind.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And you said,
that's right.
There's a potential illustration.
There is. And I don't know exactly in the moment how it would be an illustration or what it would be for, but anything like that, I've got on my phone a little notes section, and it's down to number 200 and something, and I'll just write down a saying that I saw or something funny my boy said or conversation I had with Pastor Craig, and I write that down. And then at some point, all of this fodder becomes very useful tools for messages that I'm creating or chapters that I'm writing. It's all very valuable. The second thing I would say for someone that wants to communicate effectively is, and this is something, again, I learned from Mr. Ziegler, is you need to record yourself talking for a minute, 1 minute. You need to see what you're doing with your hands. You need to see the distracting thing you do with your eyes. You need to see the tendency that you have to do something that it's natural to you, so you don't know it's distracting until you look back at it. And then you need to train yourself away from whatever that propensity it is we all have with our hands or with our heads or whatever, that to someone else would be a complete distraction away from the point of what you're saying, but you don't know it till you get up the courage to look at yourself.
That's so true.
Yeah.
For me, it was put down the box. I would talk like this, and Amy said early on, she said, put the box down, because my hands were like that. And then we'll also have catchphrases that we say over and over again, and you never know you're saying them until you watch it, or someone is kind enough to tell you, stop saying that thing over and over again.
And that minute training ground too, and this is a lesson I remember from Bishop T.D. Jakes. He said that he would make himself talk for 1 minute to describe something, a microphone, a pair of jeans, some tennis shoes. And he would have to describe it for 1 minute without using the same descriptor twice. It sounds simple until you start trying to talk about something and use adjectives to describe it for 60 whole seconds, and you cannot repeat them. And he would train himself to do it until he could talk for a minute about something, describe it, and not use any of the same words.
I've never heard that about him, and it not only does not surprise me, but it makes sense.
Totally.
Because when you listen to him describe something, there's texture.
Totally.
It's almost like you can feel it, see it, hear it.
Smell it.
You're there.
All the senses are engaged.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You did the same thing. You told a story about a house that you went in and described it in the most intimate detail about this amazing house. But once you got in it, you weren't allowed to.
Couldn't touch anything. No.
and then tied it to an illustration that was quite profound, that we'll often let Jesus into our lives, but not let him touch certain parts.
That's right.
So that was 10 years from now, if you ask me, what did Priscilla talk about, I will remember that
story. Yeah.
And so that's really powerful. When it comes to leading people, we're going to come in and cast vision about where we're going to go. When you're looking for people to go with you, what are the top qualities you want when selecting team members?
That they want to be a part of a team. And are they not just okay with, but are they excited about being number two? And that doesn't mean in value. That just means in position. Are they actually trying to do exactly what I'm trying to do? We don't need another person that does exactly what I'm doing. We actually need someone that enjoys and is eager to support that. It is so hard to find someone who loves and is eager to be the number two, and finds great value in it and finds their placement there and a calling there. And I was talking to my oldest son even recently. He is a quiet, strong. He has no ability to be on, no capacity and desire rather, to be on a stage, standing in front of people, talking. He didn't want to be up front at all. And I said to him just recently, do you realize how valuable you're going to be to some ministry or company or business where they've got the person that is going to be the face in front? They need somebody who's got wisdom, strength, integrity, and wants to be behind that person and is not trying to take that spot. That's one of the main things we look for. If someone calls and says, I want to do what Priscilla does, can I come work at y'all's ministry? We know that's probably not the person because we don't need another one of that, not at our ministry. There might be others that need that or companies that need a face. But for what we're doing, what we're looking for is someone that actually finds great joy and pride in supporting that and doesn't feel diminished by it.
Absolutely right that it is not second in value.
No.
In fact, so like we in our organization, we have 45 different campus pastors. And so a campus pastor would be responsible for a local congregation, for shepherding the people and then leading the staff. And what we found is you can have someone that without the right person on their side, they are not nearly as capable.
Totally.
And so if you might have someone who's really good with people and a good communicator, but they're not good systematically. And so without the right pairing, that person struggles, yes. Or the opposite. Maybe you've got someone who's really organized and meticulous, but they don't know how to show empathy. And so we don't just look at the leader, but we look at who we pair them with.
That's great.
And those things can create together what's like leadership magic. And without it, it's in fact, like if anyone ever looks at what I do and say, Craig's good at whatever, like the truth of the matter is, Craig's not good at much at all, like hardly at all.
It's the people,
it's around.
The
I mean, it's everything, everything, all the time. And generally speaking, I will listen to their opinions often more than my own because I've surrounded myself with people who are smarter in their areas. And so that matters so much.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. So in this season of your leadership, what is the most challenging thing that you're doing right now that's just saying, I get up and look at this and go, this is actually a hard part of leadership?
A hard part of leadership. I think I love being alone. I think again, it's the older I've gotten, solitude is more and more attractive. But you have to be present. You have to be with the people. You can't always lead from a distance. That the momentum you need, the synergy that you need, I think physical presence is necessary to keep that synergy gelled together. And I could just sort of be a silo and be very content in that way. But I do think Jerry and I have to be present with, we just have a small group of young ladies that work with our ministry, but to not be physically present. And we work a lot from home. They're working in the office or sometimes they're from home. They're working from home. And in our virtual society, that's what's happening. A lot of people are just working from home. So to kind of make sure that it is a priority to be present with them physically, I think that's one of the biggest challenges because we could just all be in our silos and be very content that way.
So I take it you're an introvert.
Well, I'm an introvert that has extrovert tendencies. Like people don't drain me. I know introverts are folks with like being with people actually drains you. So that's not true. I enjoy being with people, but I am fueled by solitude. What does that make me?
That probably makes you an introvert.
Does it?
Yeah, I think so. So that introvert, that if you refuel by yourself, generally speaking, that means either you're an introvert or you're kind of in the middle, and being in the public eye drains you, and you need the retreat.
So do you think that you can change in different seasons of your life?
Like I think I am off the charts extroverted, but yet only because maybe I would be in the public some.
Yeah.
I now enjoy retreat more than I did in the past. But I still, even in retreat, I like to be with people that I really know and love and trust, and to be re-energized. So it's more of a selective extrovertedness, but alone. And so in that, let's say you're kind of balanced. Let's say you're kind of in the middle, or because I'm asking this because I've got a lot of introverted leaders out there, and they say, I don't know how do I do it. If being with people is, let's say, draining to someone, it's not maybe draining to you, but it takes hard work. Maybe you're coming off a long tour. and you're pretty exhausted and you don't want to go in that day, but you know you have to go in. What do you say to yourself to where you're not putting on a show, but you're truly valuing people? What goes through your mind to still lead people and love people well when maybe you don't feel it that day?
Yeah. I think that the main thing for me is I really do view every opportunity to be with a group of people as an assignment. That, to go back to my little 10-year-old self, like it's been entrusted to me. Time is something they won't get back. Money you can spend and you can earn it back, but the time, once it's gone, it's gone. So that is one of the things I will remind myself of, that these folks came, and so I need to value their time enough to pay attention, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's a group of people like we got to speak to today, that it is an assignment and it's been entrusted to me. So am I going to squander this and look back on it in regret? Or am I going to utilize this opportunity to give them what it is that hopefully the Lord will allow me to give to them, but also am I going to glean from it? I'm the one missing out too if I don't bring my whole self. So that'll be something that I kind of remind myself of, that it's not just an accidental moment.
Well, it shows that you care for people. And I'm going to ask you a leading question because I think you're really good at this. We sat down for dinner, Amy was with us, and I was so excited to ask you questions, and I could hardly get a question in because you were asking good questions. And it's kind of frustrating because I wanted to ask you a question, but you took the lead and you were asking questions. Why do you do that, and how important is that in good leadership and in just relationships?
Man, I am a curious person, and I learn more because of curiosity than because I'm smart or have studied a lot. It's because I'm very curious about people whose lives are different than mine, that don't, in some instances, not necessarily with us, but in some instances, people that are totally polar opposite of the way maybe I've chosen to raise my kids, or the path they've taken, or our political preferences are completely different. I take it as an opportunity for me to ask them why they think the way they think, or lessons that they've learned along the way, or things that they maybe would do differently. Because in doing that, I grow, I expand my vision of, or my view of how to relate better to people. I expand my perspective on realizing that actually all of us are a little tunnel visioned, that we all have a tendency to think our way is the right way. And just because they're doing it differently does not make them wrong. It just makes them different. So we have so much to learn. And I probably, it might be a little bit of a cop-out too, because I know if I'm asking the questions that it takes the pressure off of me to have to think about responses and answers. But I just enjoy seeing how other people live and what their experiences are. It's just intriguing to me.
I think to lead a broad range of people, if you want to lead people just like you can, but your leadership's always going to be limited. I think to truly have broad impact, you have to listen to people.
Yeah.
You have to understand, like I really like to work, I'm pretty, I have some pretty strong personal beliefs. You have to work hard to get them out of me because I'm not going to lead with politics or things like that.
Right.
But I like to work really hard to understand why someone who's going to think completely differently than me, understand why, and then get to the point where I could say, if I was born where they were born and raised like they were raised and saw what they saw, I could see thinking like that.
Yep.
And I think if you cannot do that, you can't lead broadly.
Agreed. Completely. And I think one of the negative aspects, I guess, of the social media culture that we have is we don't seem to leave margin and room for people that think differently than us. We tear them down. We cancel them. We are talk negatively about if we associate with them or celebrate something that we do appreciate about their achievements or their accomplishments, or we celebrate that and we are canceled because we have celebrated them because they're different than us in another way. I'm only supposed to be friends with or celebrate people that are just like me? What a narrow way to live. Speaking
of that, Amy and I were talking about parenting, and we grew up with kind of really strong philosophy of parenting, and thankfully our kids turned out okay, and generally good. But I think I recognize that I genuinely think that philosophies of parenting don't matter as much as just engaged parents.
You are totally right.
That we could have totally different, educational, approaches, or they don't watch TV ever, or they only read this kind of, or whatever. But I think after all these years looking back, going, you know what, some of our philosophies were probably kind of dumb, but being engaged really matters a lot.
Thank God that His grace is sufficient for our dumb seasons.
That's right. Your book, I Surrender All, you've written so many, you said 14 Bible studies that have been changing lives forever. Yeah. And when you write a book, it's a calling. Tell me about I Surrender All.
I Surrender All is really a message to Christians, people who are believers. They've accepted Jesus, but they really haven't fully surrendered to Him because they're not the same thing. Salvation is free, but discipleship really does come with a cost. It means that you are taking the areas of your life that really all of us want to do what we want to do. We want to do what our body wants. We want to do what we think is right. We want to appease the peer group that we have. But when we feel that or sense the Holy Spirit saying, let go of that, or stand alone so that you can stand up for truth, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you friendships. It's going to cost you peer groups. It's going to cost you a lot of comfort sometimes. Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to go where He says go? And I mean, even as I was writing it, and even now, there are some areas of my life where I recognize I haven't really surrendered all, and so it is just a call to the church to Christians to reconsider whether or not they're actually disciples. And it's a reminder that discipleship matters, meaning that one-on-one connection where there is a person that is actually calling you up. And not just in your faith, but in the marketplace. Are you seeing what it looks like as a businessman from another businessman who's 10 years ahead of you, or businesswoman that's 10 years ahead of you, what it means to lead with integrity, what it means to manage people, what it means to steward finances appropriately? If there's nobody to show you what it looks like to do those practical things, motherhood, fatherhood. If you don't have somebody that's willing to open up their life to you, that's what discipleship is. Come walk with me. Come see the mistakes I've made, the things I would do differently, the good choices I've made. Let me help to steward you as you're walking the path I've already walked. That bit of discipleship has been lost a little bit too, with just the broadness of churches are big, communities are big, we're spread out. It used to be people live next door to each other.
Right.
We went over to eat dinner at each other's house. Now everybody's spread out. So if we're not intentional about finding someone that we can disciple, or as a younger person, and again, I say young not just in age, but young in whatever process you're starting out in. I need a married couple who's 10 years ahead of me that I can say, now, what did y'all do when y'all got to year 20 and you wanted to call it quits? There's got to be somebody willing to listen and somebody willing to teach.
Ask us that today. You asked us about, and again, you asked too many questions I couldn't ask you. So thank you for that. So the book is I Surrender All, and I appreciate your heart to serve the rest of us by writing that. And we are unapologetically followers of Jesus, and I'm really honored to speak to a community broader than that on this podcast. We've got people from different faith backgrounds, people that would agree wholeheartedly with following Jesus, and others that might be kind of kicking the tires. And so without necessarily preaching just, what you believe, I'm curious, as a follower of Jesus, how does that make your leadership better?
It makes me compassionate. You mentioned being a follower of Jesus. His example was that the people that were around him that were overlooked by others, talked about, discarded, those were actually the people that he paid the most attention to. He zeroed in on them and he cared about their story, and he did not judge them for it. He gave them grace and he welcomed them. I think that's one of the most important examples of what leadership looks like. It looks like keeping my eyes open for the people that are being overlooked or intentionally marginalized, and saying, I got you. I got you. There's something of value in you that matters to this team, that matters to this church, that matters to this business. We need you.
To be clear, we know Jesus, that God sent Jesus to save the world.
Yeah.
And so that's his calling. But when you look at him through the eyes of a leadership lens, what you see is he selected people that others overlooked.
He did.
And he trained them kind of with kingdom values, and he trusted them, he empowered them, he delegated to them.
He did.
And so there's a lot of really good leadership principles. Not only do we believe he's king, I also see him as a leader.
Did you write that book yet about Jesus as a leader?
I have not written that book yet.
Well, come on. So. We're all waiting.
Speaking of finding out more about you, if our audience wants to find out more about you and your work and your ministry and your leadership, where do they go?
Well, our ministry is called Going Beyond Ministry. So if you just go to goingbeyond.com, there we are.
Goingbeyond.com.
Goingbeyond.com.
And the book is called I Surrender All.
Yes, sir.
We're fans and we're
That's
friends
how we feel about
and super thankful for you. And
you
so
too.
I encourage you to pick up the book, I Surrender All. And if you want to be inspired, if you want to be spiritually stretched, Priscilla it's worth reading and listening to everything that she writes and says. And I just want to say to you, thank you for being faithful part of our leadership community. I'm working really, really hard to bring great guests to you and great content that will help you grow in your leadership. If you're not getting the leader guide, be sure and get that. Go to Life.Church/leadership podcast. We'll send it to you with the release of each episode. If you enjoyed this and it's helpful, post on it and tag me, tag Priscilla, and our teams may repost you as well. We want to help everybody grow in their leadership, and so expanding and inviting others to be a part means a lot to me. Guess what? You helped us get better today, and that's a gift.
Thanks.
And we know that everyone wins when the leader gets better. Thanks, Priscilla.
Thank you.